Welcome back to Dimebag Darren World Headquarters here in the corner of my living room. Thank you again for joining. We're back with Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, My Favorite Story. Now, it has been a while since I've given you another installment on this. That's my fault, but I said that at the outset that this would come in fits and spurts because that's how I knew I was going to be doing it. I didn't think it would be so long before I read you some more, especially considering the next two bits are short. But please go through the playlist, listen to it, get caught up. It is the story. Listen. This is the story that Elon Musk lives his life by, and I shit you not. Now, for good or for bad, whatever that happens to be, this is it. Anyway, that being said, and you can look into that for yourself and enjoy that when you do, we're going to get into the first bit of this here. Let me just switch over to that now. Boom. Book 4, The Traders, Chapter 1. Coming up next on Dimebag Darren World Headquarters from it, here right now on the Omnivox channel, and adding to the book. Book 4, The Traders, Chapter 1. Traders. And constantly in advance of the political hegemony of the Foundation were the traders, reaching out tenuous fingerholds through tremendous distances of the periphery. Months or years might pass between landings on Terminus, and their ships were often nothing more than patchquilts of homemade repairs and improvisations. Their honesty was none of the highest. Their daring. Through it all, they forged an empire more enduring than the pseudo-religious despotism of the Four Kingdoms. Tales without end are told of these massively lonely figures who bore half seriously, half mockingly, a motto adopted from one of Salvor Hardin's epigrams. Never let your sense of morals prevent you from doing what is right. It is difficult now to tell which tales are real and which are apocryphal. There are none, probably, that have not suffered some exaggeration. Encyclopedia Galactica. Limmer Ponyetz was completely alather when the call reached his receiver, which proves the old bromide about telemessages and the bathtub holds true even in the dark, hard space of the galactic periphery. Luckily, that part of a freelance ship that is not given over to miscellaneous merchandise is extremely snug. So much so that the shower, hot water included, is located in a 2x4 cubby 10 feet from the control panels. Ponyetz heard the staccato rattle of the receiver quite plainly. Dripping suds and a curse, he stepped out to adjust the vocal, and 3 hours later a second trade ship was alongside, and a grinning youngster entered through the air tube between the ships. Ponyetz rattled his best chair forward and perched himself on the pilot's swivel. "What you been doing, Gorm?" he asked darkly. "Chasing me all the way from the Foundation?" Les Gorm broke out a cigarette, shook his head definitively. "Me? Not a chance. I'm just the sucker who happened to land on Glyphtal 4 the day after the mail, so they sent me out after you with this." The tiny gleaming sphere changed hands, and Gorm added, "It's confidential, super secret. Couldn't be trusted to the sub-ether and all that. Or so I gather. At least it's a personal capsule, so it won't open for anyone but you." Ponyetz regarded the capsule distastefully. "I can see that, and I never knew one of these to hold good news either." It opened in his hand, and the thin, transparent tape unrolled stiffly. His eyes swept the message quickly, for when the last of the tape had emerged, the first was already brown and crinkled. In a minute and a half it turned black, and, molecule by molecule, fallen apart. Ponyetz grunted hollowly. "Oh, galaxy!" Les Gorham said quietly, Can I help somehow, or is it too secret? It'll bear telling since you're of the guild. I've got to go to Ascone. That place? How come? They've imprisoned a traitor, but keep it to yourself. Gorm's expression jolted into anger. Imprisoned? That's against the convention. So is interference with local politics. Oh, is that what he did? Gorm meditated. Who's the traitor? Anyone I know? No, said Panyet sharply, and Gorm accepted the implication and asked no further questions. Poignets was up and staring out the dark visiplate. He mumbled strong expressions at that part of the misty lens form that was the body of the galaxy and said loudly, Damn this mess! I'm way behind quota. Light broke on Gorm's intellect. Hey, friend, Ascone is a closed area. That's right. You can't sell as much as a penknife on Ascone. They won't buy atomic gadgets of any sort. With my quota dead on its feet, it's murder to go there. Can't get out of it? Ponyet shook his head absently. I know the fellow involved. Can't walk out on a friend. What of it? I'm in the hands of the galactic spirit and walk cheerfully in the way he points out. Gorm said blankly, Huh? Ponyets looked at him and laughed shortly. I forgot. You never read the Book of the Spirit, did you? Never heard of it, said Gorm curtly. Well, you would if you'd had a religious training. Religious training for the priesthood? Gorm was profoundly shocked. Afraid so. It's my dark shaman secret. I was too much for the revered fathers, though. They expelled me for reasons sufficient to promote me to a secular education under the Foundation. Well, look, I'd better push off. How's your quota this year? Gorm crushed out his cigarette and adjusted his cap. I've got my last cargo going now. I'll make it. Lucky fellow, gloomed Ponyets, and for many minutes after lest Gorm left, he sat in motionless reverie. So, Eskalgarov was on Ascone, and in prison as well. That was bad. In fact, considerably worse than it might appear. It was one thing to tell a curious youngster, a diluted version of the business, to throw him off and send him about his own. It was a thing of a different sort, to face the truth. For Limar Panyets was one of the few people who happened to know that master traitor Eskalgarov was not a traitor at all, but that entirely different thing, an agent of the Foundation. Thank you for stopping by, Dimebag Darren. World Headers here in the corner of my living room. Really appreciate you hanging out with me while I read Isaac Asimov's Foundation. We have just read Book 4, The Traitors, Chapter 1, and we will be on to Chapter 2 shortly. Please tune in again. Thank you, and good night.